So the world economy lost and found $6 trillion in a week. 7 times the most ferocious global trade war in history has been threatened and paused. That figure may have changed again by the time you watch this video. The stock market may have rebounded, but real people are feeling the effects of this little game. Global economic uncertainty is at historic highs. Prices are rising, hiring is halted, and interest rates are rising while layoffs accelerate. I know what you're thinking. Even respected outlets and experts have been trying to figure out what the flip-flop trade war is all about, whether it's a secret plan to lower interest rates before we refinance our debt, redefining the US dollar as a global reserve, or a 40-UNO negotiating tactic. These explanations are entertaining. Not acknowledging that poor ideas are bad ideas has caused political and business issues before we put tariffs on penguins. The Commerce Secretary says President Trump will impose his reciprocal tariff today. Trump justified the tariffs, claiming he can still strengthen the nation. The president must reset global trade. Since China retaliated, I did a 90-day delay for those who didn't. Have a mission. Curating and creating culture is our core focus. You'll never see as much volume in as many transactions on the day of the largest change, but they need our markets, consumers, and this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. So more than 75, what's going to happen? I don't know, but our country is stronger. It shouldn't matter if you love or despise this administration, the corporations will discuss, or even your boss. Awful ideas are awful, right? Certainly not, but terrible ideas can be great possibilities if used properly. So let's learn from this contrived crisis. You should know that if you rise on the corporate ladder or succeed in company, it will be simpler to discover people who agree with you. Reasons exist for the yes guy stereotype. Now I see you're all yes men. I was making the wrong moves and you were too gutless to tell me, right? Beyond the obvious issue of subordinates not wanting to fight their bosses or corporate executives not wanting to upset the government that controls them, there are 3 more subtle but equally effective ways terrible ideas gain support. First, selling common sense is difficult. If you have been following the trade wars, Department of Government efficiency, or corporate incompetence, you may have noticed that there is an almost endless supply of news and commentary claiming that even bizarre ideas make sense. Some of this is biased media reporting, nothing new, but a lot of it is people desperate to stand out in the marketplace of ideas. Our dumb monkey brains love order and chaos, so telling people that something scary is part of a bigger plan has worked for all of human history. Technology makes the marketplace of ideas open to everyone, but it also makes attention precious. Stand out on ideas to stand out from the cacophony, for better or worse. Uri used his powers for good, but many others will back harmful ideas for a fee. One multi-billion-dollar industry has made it their operating model. During the epidemic, corporate consultants had record years. They couldn't grow fast enough because firms and governments wanted smart-looking MBAs to advise them. Work from home functions, adapts to market changes and manages crisis. A research indicated that 2,300 management consultants from 73 organizations were hired to work on the UK government's test and trace system, spending £375 million on consultation. For this one initiative, the UK government employed more consultants than Treasury Department employees. The US does the same with political campaign money. Our healthcare system is so disorganized that it's hard to collect national data right now. But consulting businesses are doing record business integrating artificial intelligence into enterprises that can't figure it out. Consulting firms are also invoicing thousands of hours to assist companies deal with the trade conflict. In theory, such consulting is useful. Companies may only face a pandemic once in a generation. A team can install once-in-a-generation AI technologies and then do it for the next company without full-time employees. However, this rarely happens. The greatest method to get lots of consultant billable hours is to find out what management wants and write a report on why it is the only logical solution. McKinsey has written many articles on why working remotely is the greatest method to boost corporate productivity and why coming to the office is crucial. The corporation can always point to the article that supports its decision. Now that's just consulting. Terrible ideas may take you much further, so grasp how money works to employ bad ideas for profit and professional advancement. Trump has traditionally supported protectionist policies to safeguard domestic businesses and capabilities. You don't have free trade. Our concept is free commerce, but you don't have it. I think many Americans are tired of other nations sucking off the US. For years before becoming president, he's been vocal about this, and he's right. Globalization was great for wealthy people who could sell their products into global investment and outsourced supply chains. But it wasn't as good for people who relied on their outsourced jobs as someone born into wealth who could directly benefit from global markets and global investments in his businesses and properties. Trump may have supported safeguards out of altruism. Maybe that's true, or he discovered a catchy message. You can shout it in the comments. Identifying an issue is one thing, solving the problem is challenging. Trump first selected economist Peter Navarro. as America's trade policy architect, after his son-in-law found his book Death by China on Amazon. It's an emotional title that fits the idea that China must be defeated. The documentary based on the book is available for free on YouTube, so you can decide for yourself. As usual, I'll link to both below. Despite the weighty title, none of that is interesting. Politicians constantly use policy advisors. The only difference is that Navarro quoted Ron Vara, a fictional economist. Ron Vara was only rearranging Navarro's letters, therefore he wasn't attempting. Yes, some of the most influential economic policies of the last century were founded on concepts supported by a man, a book, and an apparition. It would be humorous if so many people weren't going to lose their jobs, but it shows how backing contrarian ideas may lead to possibilities that level heads might miss. Peter Navarro and his imaginary pal are world-renowned economists. Few persons in history have implemented policies this large. He was given the chance by supporting the appropriate message. Next time senior management at your organization has a risky proposal, support it fully. Bad ideas are supported for the third and most essential reason. They may destroy the firm, but your resume will look wonderful. Terrible ideas can't merely be terrible nowadays. Last week, while watching my life savings ride a roller coaster, I was cheered up by tweets from people praising the stock market rally after telling their followers it didn't matter and claiming it was the leading indicator of a strong economy. It's crucial to remember that people can alter their minds, even though most of this hypocrisy was driven by partisanship. The harder we make it for people to confess they were wrong and reverse a detrimental action, the more they will stick to a terrible concept. This might be a crucial talent for managers. People shouldn't use you, but they shouldn't hide faults for fear of retaliation. The nation's top leaders should be held to a higher standard than subordinates, but many reasons have made it difficult for them to reverse disastrous judgments. Navarro, for instance, has a PhD from Harvard, where his thesis was on the true motives behind corporate charities, which we have critiqued here on this channel. Now he's probably only going to be known as the guy who made it up, an expert on trade disputes, expanding outwards, and even trade protections. Protecting local industries and ensuring that typical American workers aren't sacrificed for global firms' competitiveness is important. However, future protectionist ideas will be criticized as another tariff war. Why repeat that? Smart people always have stupid ideas. It doesn't mean they're incorrect about everything, and a lousy remedy doesn't indicate the problem is gone. This will likely happen more as news polarizes and attention spans diminish. How do you capitalize? If you're going to support a concept in your career, be behind it without promoting it. Express support to your employers softly so you can get the perks of being on board, but not be blamed when it all falls apart. I don't want to cover everything coming out of Washington, and we called out the last administration too, but on a channel that highlights dumb ideas in business, finance, and economics, it's hard to make a video about much else when these actions make everything irrelevant. To stay up to date with the latest financial news and economic developments, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.